You can support In the Past Lane by buying some of our merchandise, like shirts, hoodies, mugs, and stickers. Just go to our website, inthepastlane.com. Thanks.
Whoa, hit the brakes. You've arrived at the #1 drive-by for American history. Welcome to The Pit Stop. Brought to you by In the Past Lane, the podcast about history and why it matters. Here's Edward T. O'Donnell, your host and historian at large.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to The Pit Stop, your Monday morning source for history on the go in just about 5 minutes. We offer this mini feature every Monday, in addition to our full feature episodes. Here's what happened in American history the week of November 26, 2018. Let's start with birthdays. November 26, 1832, that's the birthday of Dr. Mary Edwards Walker, who was born in Oswego, New York. She was raised in an age when few women went to college, but Walker managed to graduate from medical school in 1855. In 1861, at the outbreak of the Civil War, she tried to volunteer as a surgeon for the Union Army. But because she was a woman, she was rejected and encouraged to sign on as a nurse. Walker refused, and instead spent the rest of the war volunteering on the front lines as a surgeon for various Union regiments. In 1864, she was captured by the Confederacy and held for 4 months before being exchanged for a Confederate surgeon. By 1865, Walker's reputation for skill and bravery was brought to the attention of President Andrew Johnson, who awarded her the Medal of Honor, making her the first civilian and only woman to ever receive that honor. Dr. Mary Edwards Walker spent the rest of her life practicing medicine and fighting for women's rights. The legendary guitarist Jimi Hendrix was born on November 27, 1942, in Seattle, Washington. Hendrix is widely considered one of the greatest guitarists in rock and roll history, and one of the greatest influences on successive generations of guitarists. Perhaps the most amazing thing about Jimi Hendrix's career is that it lasted only 4 years, from 1966 to 1970. Jimi Hendrix died of an overdose on September 18, 1970, at the tender age of 27. November 30th, 1835, that's the birthday of humorist, writer, and social critic Mark Twain, who was born in Florida, Missouri. Twain's best-known works were Huckleberry Finn and Tom Sawyer. He also wrote many essays and delivered thousands of talks to public audiences. Among some of Mark Twain's most memorable lines are, "Go to heaven for the climate, hell for the company," and "Be careful about reading health books. You may die of a misprint." Social activist and 1960s countercultural icon Abbie Hoffman was born November 30th, 1936 in Worcester, Massachusetts. Abbie Hoffman gained notoriety by staging many creative and provocative political protests, and by founding the Youth International Party, better known as the Yippies. Abbie Hoffman once said, "Sacred cows make the tastiest hamburger." November 30th is also the birthday of a politician, educator, author, and advocate for women's rights and civil rights, Shirley Chisholm, who was born November 30th, 1924 in Brooklyn, New York. In 1968, Chisholm became the first black woman elected to Congress. 4 years later, she became the first African-American woman to seek the nomination for President of the United States by one of the two major political parties. While that effort was stymied by the Democratic Party establishment, Chisholm's run, and her overall career as a fearless fighter for social justice, inspired many young American progressives. Towards the end of her life, Shirley Chisholm said, "I want to be remembered as a woman who dared to be the catalyst of change." Okay, what about events? On November 30th, 1965, a little-known consumer safety activist named Ralph Nader published a book titled Unsafe at Any Speed. The book was an expose of the automobile industry and its willingness to produce unsafe vehicles by resisting efforts to mandate certain basic safety measures like seatbelts. Nader's book became a bestseller and quickly led to the passage of seatbelt laws in 49 of 50 states. It also led to the founding of the U.S. Department of Transportation and later the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. If you've ever walked away from a serious car accident, chances are you have Ralph Nader to thank. December 1st, 1955, an African-American woman named Rosa Parks was arrested for refusing to give up her seat to a white man on a bus in Montgomery, Alabama. The incident prompted the city's African-American community to boycott the bus system until the practice of segregated seating was ended. This civil rights campaign also led to the emergence of a young preacher named Martin Luther King Jr. December 1st, 1913, automobile manufacturer Henry Ford started the first moving assembly line for the assembly of a complete automobile. This innovation reduced the time needed to assemble a Model T Ford car from 12 hours to 2.5 hours. And on December 2nd, 1954, the United States Senate condemned one of its own. by a vote of 65 to 22, the U.S. Senate voted to condemn Wisconsin Senator Joseph McCarthy for conduct unbecoming of a senator. This condemnation was due to McCarthy's 4-year reign of terror, in which he accused, largely without evidence, hundreds of government officials and private citizens of being communists and/or agents of the Soviet Union. This vote marked the end of Joseph McCarthy's political power, but unfortunately, not the end of McCarthyism as a political tactic. Okay, time for the last word. Let's give it to Rosa Parks, who 63 years ago this week refused to surrender her bus seat to a white man. Years later in her autobiography, she wrote, "People always say that I didn't give up my seat because I was tired, but that isn't true. I was not tired physically, or no more tired than I usually was at the end of a working day. I was not old, although some people have an image of me as being old then. I was 42. No, the only tired I was tired of giving in." Okay, people, that's your history fix for the week. Now put it in drive and go make your own history.